Everything began with a routine that failed. Maya and Max Mitchell did not show up at school, and when the babysitter tried to find out why, the calls led nowhere. That silence pulled Mitchell's sister to call for help, and it sent Houston police to the family's River Oaks home. What they found ended the public image of a successful restaurant family in one evening. By the next day, police were saying Mitchell's husband, Matthew Mitchell, was the person behind the deaths of his wife and children. Please subscribe to U.S. Crime Cases for more true crime cases, investigations, and public safety stories that deserve real attention. Watch till the end, because the detail that changes this case may not be the one most people noticed first. Before Matthew Mitchell became the suspect in a family killing, he had a public life that looked successful, polished, and respected. He was 52 years old, a husband, a father, a restaurant co-owner, and a man connected to Houston's food scene through Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart. To customers, staff, and people who followed local dining news, Matthew was not first known through police reports. He was known through food, travel, business, and a family brand built around culture. That is why the case hit so hard. Matthew was not some unknown figure who appeared after the deaths. He was already visible in the life people thought they knew. He stood beside Mitchell in business, shared a home with her, raised children with her, and carried the public image of a man building something with his wife. Matthew's background made that image even stronger. Public biographies and reporting described him as highly educated and well-traveled. He earned a degree from Emory University, studied in France, Italy, and Oxford, and worked as a journalist in London, Paris, and New York City. After returning to Texas, he attended Rice University's business school and later worked in the pharmaceutical industry. He became president and CEO of the Texas Center for Drug Development before moving into food and hospitality. That kind of resume gives the outside world a certain picture. It suggests discipline, education, business control, travel, and ambition. It gives people a reason to assume stability. But one of the most disturbing things about this case is how useless that public picture became once police entered the home. Mitchell had her own powerful public identity. She was 39 years old, a mother, a business owner, and a first-generation Vietnamese American with deep roots in Houston's hospitality world. Her family had worked in food long before Traveler's Table became known. She spent weekends around her grandmother and mother's Vietnamese restaurant, learning early that restaurants were not only about meals. They were about work, family, service, and showing people who you are. They later studied at the University of Houston and worked in hospitality, retail, and human resources before building her own businesses with Matthew. Together, they created Traveler's Table, a restaurant built around global cuisine, then Traveler's Cart, a more casual food concept, and Foreign Fare, a travel apparel brand. Their public identity was clear: food, travel, culture, ambition, family, and movement. In 2025, Matthew and I were named Restaurateurs of the Year by the Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association. That recognition placed them firmly inside Houston's dining community. They were not hidden owners working quietly in the background. They were a couple with public praise, business attention, and community reach. That is the sharp contradiction at the center of the case. The Matthew Mitchell people saw in public looked accomplished. The Matthew Mitchell named by police after the welfare check was something far darker. The question is not just who he was on paper. The question is how the man tied to thy's public success became the man police say killed thy and their children. Thy and Matthew had 2 children, Maya and Max. Maya was 8. Max was 4. They were not background details in an adult tragedy. They were young children with school routines, caregivers, family members, and people who expected them to show up where they were supposed to be. On May 4, 2026, that routine broke. According to Houston police, the family had not been seen or heard from since the previous night. According to reporting on the family's statement, the children's babysitter went to pick them up from school and learned they had never arrived. Calls to the family went unanswered. Thy sister then called 911 and requested a welfare check at the Kingston Street home. That sequence is one of the most chilling facts in the case because it shows how the truth first reached the outside world. It did not begin with police chasing a suspect. It did not begin with a public confrontation. It did not begin with someone seeing a threat from the sidewalk. It began when 2 children missed school, and the people around them knew that was not normal. At about 5:25 that evening, Houston police responded to 2113 Kingston Street in the River Oaks area. From outside, the home did not explain why a known Houston restaurant family had gone silent. River Oaks is the kind of place many people associate with privacy, wealth, and locked doors. But privacy can hide many things. A quiet house can look normal until someone has a reason to knock. Officers entered the residence and found Matthew, Maya, and Max dead inside. Houston police later said evidence at the scene indicated a murder-suicide. Their public finding was that the male suspect killed the 3 victims and then died by suicide. The male suspect was Matthew Mitchell. The Harris County Medical Examiner classified the deaths of Maya and Max as homicides, while Matthew's death was classified as suicide. That is why police say Matthew Mitchell killed his family. Their conclusion came from evidence found after officers entered the Kingston Street home during the welfare check. Police did not name him because of internet talk, restaurant gossip, or public suspicion. They named him because of what investigators said the scene showed. But there is another question people keep asking, and it has not been publicly answered. Why did it happen? As of the latest public reporting used here, police have not released a clear motive. There has been no confirmed public explanation of a final argument, no released note, no official timeline of private conflict, and no verified reason showing what was happening inside that home before the deaths. That missing answer is why the case still feels unfinished, even after police named the suspect. The lack of a released motive created space for rumors, and one of those rumors spread fast. Some online claims said I was pregnant. Her family publicly corrected that and said the claim was false. They said no law enforcement official had made that statement, and no such information appeared in the autopsy report. That correction deserves attention because it shows how quickly a real family's pain can be distorted. These relatives were grieving a daughter, a sister, a mother, and 2 children, while also having to fight false claims from strangers. That is one of the ugly parts of modern true crime coverage. A case reaches the public, and before the family even has space to mourn, people begin adding details that are not in the record. The record is already painful enough. Matthew Mitchell was Thy's husband. He was Maya and Max's father. He was the co-owner standing beside Thy in a business life that looked active and successful. He had the kind of background people often associate with control and stability. Yet police say the evidence inside the home pointed to him as the person responsible. That is why the case is so difficult for people to process. The public image had all the signs people often mistake for safety: a respected business, a good address, school routines, community recognition, restaurants with loyal customers, a family name connected to food, travel, and culture. But none of those things guarantee safety inside a home. There is also no public record showing recent emergency calls to the residents before the deaths. Reporting said police had not found prior emergency calls to the home in the previous 6 months, and ABC 13 reported no prior domestic violence calls to the residents. That detail can be read in more than one way. Some people may take it as a sign that there were no obvious public warnings. Others will point out that many private crises never appear in police logs. Both reactions sit inside the same hard reality. No recorded call does not prove there was no fear, and no released motive does not allow anyone to invent one. That is the careful line this case requires. Police have said what they believe happened. They have not released the reason behind it. The most frightening detail may still be the one that brought police to the door. The children missing school, the unanswered calls, the silence. A babysitter went to pick up Maya and Max expecting a normal day, but the routine failed. Once the children were not where they should have been, the concern moved quickly. School became the first warning. The phone became the second. Thy sister became the person who pushed that concern into action by calling 911. Police entered the home after that. By then, there was no rescue left to make. The outside world learned something was wrong only after the family stopped responding to ordinary life. That is what makes the timeline feel so heavy. A family can appear active in public, recognized in business, and rooted in a community, while the final hours inside the home remain hidden until someone notices absence. For Houston, the news spread through more than one circle. It moved through the restaurant community, where people knew traveler's table and traveler's cart. It moved through school families, because Maya did not return to class. It moved through customers who had eaten at the restaurants and connected the Mitchell name with hospitality. It moved through friends and relatives who had known Thy as energetic, warm, and driven. And with every circle came the same shock. The man police named was not outside the family. He was inside it. That is what gives the title its weight. Matthew Mitchell was not only a suspect in a police release. He was the husband. He was the father. He was the person closest to the victims in the legal, domestic, and public sense. If police are correct, the danger came from the person who had the most access and the most trust. Family killings carry a different kind of fear because the usual idea of safety collapses. A locked door does not protect you if the person inside is the threat. A respected neighborhood does not protect you if the danger is domestic. A successful business does not protect children from what happens at home. That is why this case shook people. It showed a family image that looked solid from the outside, then revealed a police finding that said the worst possible danger had been inside the house. Matthew's background also raises the discomfort. He does not fit the simple image some people expect when they hear about a man accused by police of killing his family. He had education, travel, career history, and public success. But those things do not prevent violence. They do not prove kindness. They do not reveal what a person is capable of when no one else is watching. That is the dangerous mistake people make with public status. They see a resume and assume character. They see a business and assume emotional control. They see a family photo and assume safety. In many cases, those assumptions may be harmless. In this case, they fell apart once police entered the home. After the deaths, the community response was immediate. Flowers and tributes appeared outside the Kingston Street residence. River Oaks Elementary offered counseling support after Maya's death. People in Houston's dining world remembered Thy as someone with energy, warmth, and deep connection to the city's food community. The restaurants, Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart, continued operating while staff and relatives asked for privacy and support. That decision may feel strange to some people from the outside, but grief does not erase the practical demands around it. Employees still need work. Customers still ask questions. A restaurant still has schedules, suppliers, and people depending on it. At the same time, Foreign Fare, the family's travel apparel brand, was set to close temporarily while the family handled funeral arrangements. Thy's family also announced the creation of the Thy My Foundation in honor of Thy, Maya, and Max. The foundation was described as an effort focused on women's and children's safety through programs, advocacy, and community action. That response showed what the family wanted attached to their names: protection, care, and truth. The family's statement also clarified how the welfare check happened. They said the babysitter went to pick up the children and learned they had not attended school. They said repeated calls went unanswered. They said Thy's sister contacted 911. They also said police were the first to enter the home. Those details clean up the public record and keep the case grounded in what is known. The public may still want more. People may want the private messages, The final hours, the financial records, the last conversation, the hidden warning, the reason. But wanting more does not create proof. As of now, the motive has not been publicly released. That missing motive is one reason the case remains so hard to sit with. If police had released a clear reason, people might still be horrified, but they would have a line to follow. Without that, the public is left with a contradiction instead. Matthew Mitchell, the public restaurateur and father, is also Matthew Mitchell, the suspect police say killed his wife and children. There may never be a trial. Matthew is dead, so there may not be a courtroom where prosecutors lay out every detail in front of a jury and a defense team responds. Without that process, the public may never hear every piece of evidence investigators saw. That does not erase the police finding, but it does mean the public record may remain limited. The official finding says evidence at the home pointed to Matthew. The unreleased answer is motive. That difference is essential. Evidence explains why police named him. Motive would explain why the act happened. The public has the first answer. It does not have the second. That is where many true crime discussions go wrong. People collapse those two questions into one. They hear that police named Matthew and expect every reason to already be known. But an investigation can identify a suspect without publicly revealing the private cause. In this case, police have spoken about the scene. They have not publicly given a full explanation of what led to the violence. If you are still watching, subscribe and like the video. Then drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the full truth has been told, or is there still something missing? The question of who Matthew Mitchell was cannot be answered only by listing jobs. His resume is relevant because it explains why the case shocked people, but it does not explain the final act police attribute to him. He had been a journalist, a pharmaceutical executive, a culinary professional, a restaurant owner, a husband, and a father. He had public recognition with Thai. He had businesses people knew. He had a family name attached to success. But none of that tells us what was happening inside the home before May 4. That final private space remains the darkest area of the case. The family was last heard from the night before. The children did not arrive at school the next day. The calls went unanswered. Police arrived in the evening. Those are the known points. The hours between them have not been fully opened to the public. What was said inside the home? Did they know danger was close? Did anyone outside the home have any reason to think the family was in trouble before the school absence? Did Matthew leave any explanation that investigators have not released? Those questions remain open in the public record. What is not open is the police conclusion. HPD said the evidence at the home indicated Matthew killed Maya, and Max before his own death. That conclusion forces people to confront the family role he held. A husband has access that strangers do not. A father holds power over children who cannot protect themselves. A co-owner shares the public future of a business with the person beside him. If police are correct, Matthew held all those roles and then became the source of the family's destruction. The betrayal in that is what makes the case so disturbing. The victims were not attacked by someone unknown to them. Police did not announce a hunt for an outside killer. They said the evidence pointed to the man inside the home, the man connected to them in every public and private way. Thy's life deserves to remain central while Matthew's role is examined. She was not only a victim in a police release. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a business owner, and a woman who helped build something Houston recognized. She carried family roots in Vietnamese food and hospitality into her own work. She helped create restaurant spaces where people gathered, celebrated, and remembered meals. Maya and Max deserve the same care. Maya was 8, old enough to have classmates and routines. Max was 4, still at the age where the world is shaped almost completely by the adults nearby. Their missed school day helped alert others that something was wrong, and that fact is painful because their absence became the first visible signal of danger. When people talk about this case, They often focus on Matthew because police named him. That focus is necessary because of the title and because of the official finding. But it should never shrink thy, Maya, and Max into details. The whole reason this case carries weight is because 3 lives were taken, and 2 of them belonged to children. Matthew's public identity can help explain the shock, but the victims explain the loss. The more closely the case is examined, the clearer one point becomes. Public life did not warn people enough. Not the restaurant awards, not the business profiles, not the River Oaks address, not the image of a family tied to travel and hospitality. The first warning that reached others was absence. That may be the most useful lesson left behind. When someone fails to appear where they are expected, especially children, people should not brush it aside too quickly. The babysitter did not ignore it. Thy sister did not ignore it. Their concern sent police to the home. In this case, help arrived too late, but the chain of concern was still the reason the truth came out. The family later asked for privacy and accuracy. That request should shape how the case is told. It should keep false claims out. It should keep the focus on confirmed facts. It should stop people from pretending they know what police have not released. The confirmed facts are enough. Matthew and Thy Mitchell were known Houston restaurateurs. They co-owned Traveler's Table and Traveler's Cart. They had 2 children, Maya and Max. On May 4, 2026, the children did not attend school. Their babysitter learned they were absent. Calls to the family were not answered. Thy sister requested a welfare check. Houston police entered the Kingston Street home and found the family dead. HPD said evidence inside the home indicated Matthew killed Thy, Maya, and Max before his own death. The medical examiner classified the deaths of Thy and the children as homicides, and Matthew's death as suicide. Police have not released a motive. That is the case without the noise. And the noise is dangerous here because it turns a real family into a guessing game. False pregnancy claims, invented motives, and random online certainty do not help the truth. They only add pain to a family already dealing with loss. The cleanest version of the case is also the strongest because it does not need decoration. The facts already hold enough shock. A successful Houston restaurant couple, 2 young children, a missed school day, unanswered calls, a welfare check, a police finding that named the husband and father as the suspect. That is why this case does not need forced drama. The timing, the silence, and the official conclusion create all the tension. The public image was bright. The discovery was devastating. The motive remains unreleased. The victims are gone. The man police named will never answer in court. That last point matters legally and emotionally. Matthew Mitchell's death means there may be no public trial. No jury will hear a full case against him. No defense lawyer will challenge every claim in front of the public. No courtroom will force every detail into open testimony. For people who want a complete explanation, that may leave a permanent gap. But police did not leave the case without direction. They said the evidence at the scene indicated what happened and who was responsible. That is the official basis for saying Matthew Mitchell killed his family. The missing answer is why. Maybe investigators know more than they have released. Maybe some details will remain private out of respect for the family. Maybe some questions cannot be answered because the people inside the home are gone. Whatever the reason, the public record stops short of motive. That makes the case feel both clear and unfinished at the same time. Clear because police named Matthew. Unfinished because the reason behind the act has not been released. For Houston, the deaths removed more than restaurant owners from the city's food scene. They took Thy from a community that saw her as active and generous. They took Maya from her school. They took Max before he had even reached the first years of childhood most people remember clearly. They left employees, relatives, classmates, customers, and friends trying to carry grief in public. For Thy's family, the loss also came with the responsibility of protecting her name. They had to correct false claims. They had to guide public attention toward memorial efforts. They had to speak for a woman and 2 children who could no longer speak for themselves. And that is why the case should end where it began, with the difference between appearance and truth. Matthew Mitchell appeared to be an educated, traveled, successful Houston restaurateur. He appeared beside thee in a public life built around food, business, and family. He appeared to be a husband and father living inside a respected community. But after police entered the Kingston Street home, the public image could no longer hold. Houston police said the evidence pointed to Matthew as the suspect in the deaths of Maya and Max. They have said who they believe was responsible. They have not released why. The first visible sign was not a confession, a public fight, or a warning shouted from the house. It was 2 children who did not arrive at school. From there, concern moved through a babysitter, a sister, 911, and finally Houston police at the door. Matthew Mitchell was not a stranger outside that door. He was the husband and father inside it. And if a family can look safe from the outside until the children stop showing up, the hardest question is what people fail to see when silence still looks normal. Thanks for watching till the end. Subscribe to U.S. crime cases, like the video, and share your thoughts below. Then watch another case from the channel.